people that are new to the story, Triumph Gold is a advanced explorer in the Yukon. We have a very exciting project up in the Big Creek Fault. The company is, as Jay mentioned, is the Freegold Mountain Project, and the company used to be formerly known as Northern Freegold. Cautionary statements going forward. As I said, we are in the Yukon and we are exploring a district-size area. Well, we're located along a geological structure, which I'll show you, which is the controlling structure for a lot of the big discoveries in the Yukon and going up into Alaska as well. We have incredible infrastructure. When you're in a remote area, I'm sure many of you know that you've got helicopter-assisted programs. We are actually blessed with a government-maintained road that goes to our property, through our property, which allows us very competitive advantage as far as exploration, ability to find things, but also the cost efficiency of things. This year, going into a program, this is the first time in the last few years we're funded going into next year's program. So we are funded right now for a planned program going next year. Strong leadership is a really important part. I'll go through that in greater detail shortly, but we are adding greatly to the team. As Quentin was saying earlier in his presentation, developing a technical team is the utmost important thing going into this type of market when you're doing exploration. And that has been the main focus in the last 6 months. We have a strong resource to start with. We do have 2 million ounces gold equivalent. We have 343-101 deposits on our project, but most of the extra work that we've been doing has been outside of those resources, and I'll explain that shortly. Here's a snapshot of our financial structure. We've got 136 million shares outstanding. That gives us about a $30 million market cap. With the $5 million, you basically got a $25 million enterprise value for the company. We have no debt. We spent enough, obviously, on our property to maintain our property at least until the year 2043. Royalties, we've just got a 1% royalty on the underlying assets that we've got. Major shareholders. Newmont's our largest shareholder. They've got just under 13% of the company, and then Zijin Mining Fund out of Beijing has 10%. Institutions, we have various institutions throughout Europe and the States, including Palisades Capital has about 9.5%. Gold 2000 is still a significant shareholder, as well as Bridgeport Capital and some others. You can see by our share price, we defied the bear market from 2017 onwards, and we were being rewarded very well, I think, for the exploration success we were having. And I think it's a little humbling right now, but we're coming out of kind of not a restart, but a rebranch as far as what we're doing. As everyone's saying, teams are important. I am the chairman CEO of this company. Jesse Halley has been our VP of exploration. He's been on the project for 5 years now and has a really good understanding of the project. The biggest change we've made recently is Brian Bauer came on as our lead director. Brian's got a lot of experience as far as building teams, and that's what we're doing here. We're actually in Kelowna today. We've opened an office, and we are developing a technical team that he's worked with before. Most notably, they discovered the new Afton mine, actually produced it and operated it. And we spent the last 4 months reevaluating all the technical data. We've got 140,000 meters of drilling that we're reevaluating and making a plan over the next couple of months to come up with an aggressive exploration plan going forward. This is a photo of our project. We show it for a couple of reasons. It's amenable to mining. It's fairly flat. A lot of people think of the Yukon as very rugged terrain, like you get in the Golden Triangle. You can pretty well just drive right through most of this property. We show this also for a couple of reasons. The area is flat. It wasn't glaciated in the last ice age 10,000 years ago, like most of North America. The last glacier that was over this was 10,000 over a million years ago. So that's given us a real competitive advantage as far as soil anomalies. And I'll show you that later. This is where we're located. We're tucked between, obviously, Alaska to the northwest and BC to the south. We're 200 kilometers northwest of the capital of Whitehorse, off a 3-lane Klondike highway that goes all the way up into Alaska. Great infrastructure, as I said. We've got a government maintained road that comes off our property, off the highway through most of about 85% of our property. The road access is actually part of the Resource Gateway project that the Yukon government, the Canadian government are upgrading. The Canadian government's announced a $520 million upgrade into the north, of which 360 is going into this area. The first part's already been done, where they've done an upgrade around the town of Carmacks, bypassing that town and upgrading our road to a 2-lane 50-mile-an-hour road. And then the third part will be obviously once Western Copper or Newmont go ahead with one of their projects, they're going to be paying 2/3 of the project. So we're located along that geological structure. I mentioned the Big Creek Fault, that is the controlling structure for a lot of these projects up there, most notably the Mammoth casino project that Western Copper has. You've got the Coffee project that Newmont owns. And then we're just south of the Minto mine, and I think the Claza project should also be known because they've been doing a lot of great work. We also have this Tad Toro project that was drilled in under a company called Dawson Gold. We've acquired that, and we're looking at accumulating this whole area right up until the end of the First Nations land. So we have a great system, a great property. This is 200 square kilometers. This is a Google shot of it. The black line is the government maintained road that goes right up to our camp at Nucleus. As I said, it is district size. It is 35 kilometers from one end to the other. The old focus was the Nucleus and the Revenue, which are just under 1 million ounces gold equivalent each, and then the Tinta deposit, which is at the south end of the project. Our work in the last couple of years has been outside of these areas, trying to understand the relationship between Nucleus and Revenue, outside of Revenue, but also some of these other discoveries that were found previously, and we followed up on them this year. As I said earlier on, the area was not glaciated so in the last million years, so we've got a fairly robust, intense multi-element soil anomaly. It is one of the largest in North America. It is 6 kilometers from one end to the other, and it tells us a lot. The top part is the gold interpretation, with the bottom part being the copper interpretation. To put it in scale, you've got the Nucleus, which is a postage stamp on the far left, and the Revenue, which deposit, which I mentioned at the far east of this, about 4 kilometers away. We've been drilling outside of the area. We've got discoveries in the Blue Sky Zone and the Wow Breccia that are outside of that Revenue deposit. And then what we've been trying to do is tie this in together with some higher grade near surface exploration. So that's what we did this year. We did a small program on it, and we should have results by the end of this month. This is a geological map of the area. It was done by the Yukon government in 2017. It explains a lot. The Big Creek Fault, which is that controlling structure for those big deposits I explained earlier, it's the only area where it actually splits into two, into what's called the North Big Creek Fault and the South Big Creek Fault Zone. And we've been able to, in the last year, get a real good understanding of why we've got these other higher grade skarns and epithermal veins off of this thing, including the Tinta polymetallic deposit, and tying in with the new team that we've got and the advanced exploration artificial intelligence work we're doing. We're getting a good understanding of this. This is the cross section of that same corridor I showed you, the soil anomaly from east to west. You've got 5 mountain spurs, 4 placer creeks on it. The Nucleus, just sub-million ounce deposit, is over here on the far left. 3 kilometers over, you've got the Blue Sky Breccia, which we drilled. That is over and above what the old resource was. We have a good understanding of why this thing is, how to find these things, and how we're going to move forward on them. We're drilling outside of these areas as well. That's going to be the plan for next year. And one of the things we did is we did an inverse magnetic survey. It took a long time to get done, but it explained a lot of what we were doing. So you've got the resource over here at Nucleus, and you've got the revenue over here, which is another 1 million ounce gold equivalent resource. Underneath that, you've got the blue sky and the wow breccia. Subsequently to getting all this, we've got this 3D inverse magnetic survey, which have a pretty good understanding of how to find these things. And what we want to do is obviously try to validate this model with this year's exploration. This is a cross section of the blue sky breccia. It's completely open. It was creating a lot of excitement in the last 2 years ago and last year when we found it. That's an pit controlled zone that we put in here. Underneath it, we've got significant results. For these type of systems, porphyry related systems, we've got 200 meters of 0.9 grams and 0.28% copper. That's over a percent copper equivalent. Very amenable to open pit mining, but underneath we were looking at the block cave mining. To put this in comparison, this would compare very favorably to some of the other underground block cave mines in Canada, most notably Red Chris and New Afton, which our team has a very strong experience with. Outside of that, we got the wow breccia where we drilled 1 kilometer deep. We weren't necessarily looking for this breccia pipe. We were looking for what's called the causative intrusion. That's the source for that gold. And that's what we tagged into last year. And we know we tagged into it because of the type of geology we hit down below. We hit this really high temperature potassic altered rock full of magnetite and chalcopyrite. So we know we're pretty close to this thing. And that inverse magnetic survey essentially explained that. This year, what we did was we wanted to validate that 3D constrained model. We think we've done that. We also wanted to confirm widespread gold in the Nucleus area. We also tested for oxide gold potential Kirsten South, which is halfway between both Nucleus and Revenue. And then we also wanted to test the extension of the high-grade zones of the Irene gold epithermal system. And that's something that we tried to do last year. We couldn't get to it because of timing, but we did this year. And what we tested is the lateral extension of the oxidized skarn zone by over 500 meters. This is a 3.7 kilometer long trend, we think. And then we also wanted to test the vertical extension of the high-grade gold star vein down dip. And again, we should have those results by the end of the month. That's essentially in 10 minutes to tell you 140 million years of geology, what we're up to. But we are more advanced stage than I think a lot of people understand. What we are trying to do is build this technical team, get a real good understanding of the project, and move forward over the next year and a half.